What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pioneer Assembly. My name is Bethany Barr Phillips, and I will be your host. Today, we're starting volume 2 of Field Notes, which is our short form episodes, Monday to Friday. And I just wanted to give this little nugget at the very beginning. The statement that we are working from this week is this: faith in God will free you to live fearless. This week, we're going to tackle several different topics that we find ourselves struggling with. And the root of all of those is fear. And if we can ever not just tackle something to be a better person and to find more self-worth, but if we can really expose it and bring it into the light and surrender it to the Lord, then fear is not something that we're going to be controlled by any longer. Why is that? Because our faith in God will free us to live fearless. So I hope you'll join us for Field Notes Volume 2, Facing Your Fears. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pioneer Assembly. We are a place to gather for those called to go. My name is Bethany Barr Phillips, and I will be your host as we roll into volume 2 of Field Notes this week. Field Notes are just short form episodes, Monday through Friday. They drop consecutively, and we hope that you join in and find them helpful in your daily walk with the Lord, your daily journey as you pioneer. We are titling Volume 2, Facing Your Fears. It's based off of a book that I wrote several years back with the same title, Facing Your Fears. And I wanted to just walk through the idea of how fear, if we aren't careful and if we don't expose it and give it to the Lord, can really take over parts of our life that we might not even see. So the very first day for today, I want to roll into the idea that I think we all struggle with, and it is that of expectation. So I wanted to give you guys the idea of where the book came from really quickly. I get the honor to travel and do conferences and retreats and all kinds of things. And the team that I get to travel with, we have all been together for quite some time. And when I say quite some time, I mean like 15 years plus. And so we all know each other really well. And we rolled into this event years back. And I had been sick that entire week. And we had done this long enough to know how to do this well, even when one of us was not 100%. And we came into the pre-service meeting in the back right before the event began. And all the pre-services is where everybody comes together. We get a big sheet and it just tells us what all is going to happen for the weekend. And during that weekend, one of the leaders that was there spoke some words over me that I did not realize planted a seed of fear in my heart. And all he said, not to divulge all kinds of things and places for everyone to guess, but all he said was something that reminded me that I was constantly trying to strive to prove myself all the time. And the words that he began to speak over me, while I think he meant them for encouragement, they really were received as, honestly, just I wasn't good enough to be there. And that wasn't necessarily as hurtful as it was an exposure of the fact that that had been a fear of mine for quite some time. I always, for the longest time, at least the first half of ministry, struggled with the idea that there were expectations on me because I was different, because my voice was different, because I'm a female, because I don't look different, because I have opinions, because I'm not afraid to share those quite often. And while there were seasons where I tried to conform to meet others' expectations, I realized that those expectations just became like a straitjacket for me, and I wasn't able to push through. Maybe you felt that way. You have not realized that you've received some type of feedback or conversation as you aren't meeting expectations. And I think that's a fear that all of us have much of the time, is that we won't meet the expectations that not we think others have on us, but that we really place on ourselves. I think when our expectations aren't met, we're often disappointed, and that leads to all kinds of outcomes. That plants roots of bitterness and anger and frustration in our heart, and we find them coming out in other places. Our expectations must be rooted in the word that God is who he is, and he's what he has said he will do. Let me say that again. Our expectations must be rooted in the word. And that word is that God is who he says he is, and he will do in your life what he said he would do. I think sometimes we think that expectations means great and grand, and honestly, expectation just really means obedience. I wasn't alone in that moment. I was not a complete failure because I was called out and crushed in spirit that day. But I was given an opportunity to be reminded of God's call on my life as a believer and as a bearer of the gospel. My expectations of an outcome were not shattered. They were shifted to the one who's always with me. Our perspective will shift how we view expectation in our life. And if we are willing to look up, to shift our eyes to the Lord and remember who he is, remember what he said, and remember that he will do it, then expectations will no longer be a master over us. We won't have to worry that we are receiving things, that we are failing, that we aren't there. Remember, it's not that you have failed. It's that maybe your expectations just weren't in the right space. So let's put our expectation in the Lord today and who he is, what he's willing to do in our life. Maybe that's new and different for you. Pioneer that in your life today and see what happens. Well, friends, you have just finished day 1 in volume 2 of our field notes, where we're talking through facing your fears. Our statement that we're using this week is faith in God will free you to live fearless. And I hope that you're shifting your expectations towards the one who can free you. We hope to see you here again next time. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at pioneer_assembly. Don't forget to subscribe to the Substack. And in case you didn't know, we have a YouTube channel where you can find especially all of these field notes in video form. Maybe you want to send them to a friend or use them for a small group. And we'll hopefully have resources for all of these down the road. But until then, be sure to check back, because tomorrow we will have day 2 here on Facing Your Fears at the Pioneer Assembly.